Hey, it's good to see you. Hello, and welcome to this little video. Today, or tonight, we will be doing a soft-spoken ramble about what I've been watching recently. So some movie recs and some TV recs by request. I'm also going to be using some Trader Joe's mints to just keep me from coughing, basically. And my hands are tired today from working all day on the computer. So I'm also going to use this Guasha to just give myself a little hand massage. And the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get right into it, I promise, is I am having a ringing in my ears. I'm not really sure why. I turned off all the lights I have in here to make sure that wasn't it, and it wasn't, so bear with me. But I'm pretty excited to do this ramble. A lot of you had been or have been asking me what I've been watching lately. Have been asking me for movie reviews. I'm just putting a little oil in my hands. Guasha. So yeah, let's get into it. The first movie I want to share with you tonight is one that I actually just watched last night. It is a documentary, and I freaking loved it. It's called Sperm World. Sperm World. So, this is a documentary, came out this year, 2024, and it is based on a New York Times article, I think was published in 2021, about sperm donors. But they're not just any kind of sperm donor. They're donors who are operating outside of the confines or restrictions of sperm banks. A lot of these people see sperm banks as money grabs. Money grabs. So they operate online, finding people who would like to get pregnant and need sperm to do so. And then they provide the sperm. I'm sure there's gotta be more than just one group, or more than one platform or forum, but the documentary seemed to focus on a Facebook group that spans the United States. So some of the sperm donors in this group charge for their donations, and some of them don't. I have a lot to say about different reasons for why they don't, that I'll get into in a sec. But basically, yeah, you can post on this group if you need sperm when you're ovulating, and say where you are, like in what city, and try to get a donor to give you a donation around that time. So it's really fascinating. Again, there's like a part of it feels very community oriented or like service oriented, and there's another part of it where it's like an underlayer where even the people who are doing it for free sometimes get something out of it, you know what I mean? This documentary is shot in a really interesting way. It has very dramatic lighting. It feels very dark, very modern, and kind of, the lighting's also a little seedy, I would say. It's a really interesting choice, but I liked it. And the most fascinating part of all are the people that this documentary profiles. So it focuses on 3 different donors. The first one, who I felt the best about overall, his name is Steven. He just got a divorce. He's 65. You don't hear much about his marriage, but it sounds like he was a very giving person. Maybe didn't set boundaries, or did, but was taken advantage of by his wife. Would probably be his side of it. And he seems to feel slighted by the divorce, or jilted. And so he starts donating as a way to give to others. He's always loved giving to others, and he's at this turning point in his life with the divorce, where I think he wants to feel needed, or needs to feel needed. But he's very respectful, and he's certainly a complicated person, as all people are, but I thought he was pretty genuine and forthright, and he develops a kind of friendship or fondness for one of the women he donates to, and she has her own story. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it was very fascinating to me to watch. Then there is Tyrell, who is, or was, semi-recently released from jail. So he, like Steven, doesn't charge for his sperm. And to my mind, his reasons for doing it are more about atonement, like wanting to prove to no one by himself, really, but wanting to prove that he's a good person. I think he is a good person. He seems to try really hard to be a good person. And he has a fiance who wants to get pregnant and finds it hard to find time to conceive with him because he's so busy with his donations. And then the third guy, Ari, was the donor I had the most concerns about. He's a fine person, but just seemed he seemed to donate compulsively, looking for meaning in his life, I think, and unlike some of the other donors who don't get involved afterwards, he would be involved with everyone. But he had something, I don't know the number exactly, but like 35 kids or something, and was not really able to do it, and was stretched so thin by seeing all these kids that had been born from his donations that he doesn't even have a house or a home. He just travels the whole year around to see these children. I found it very odd. I did love his friend, who you only see him 3 times, but one time he's doing all this paperwork on Ari's behalf, and the second time he's like giving him a tough love speech, basically like, no bro, you gotta like be here for your mom. And then the third time he's at this party giving a speech, and he's like, you can tell he thinks Ari's string of donations is not the best choice, but he just gives this speech at this party that's like, so the speech you would want your best friend to give, even if they had misgivings or doubts about what you were doing. Like, it's just like hype man speech. So, like I said, they all have their reasons for donating. In the first case, I think there's like everyone's wanting to be helpful, but in the first case, like, there's a loneliness, and in the second case, an atonement kind of factor, I would say. And then the third, I don't know, they say in the Facebook group at one point, like, someone leaves a comment, and it's like, honestly, I think some of these people have like breeding kinks, so it's very interesting, to say the least. When I was younger, I really wanted to be a documentary filmmaker. In fact, I applied to film school and got in, but I didn't go. I was always fascinated, in particular, with subcultures, documentaries about subcultures. So I loved Sperm World. It blew me away. It shone a light on a small corner of the world that I had just never thought of or encountered or seen before, and I feel like I learned a lot from it, and it brought a lot of questions to mind for me. It was really good. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Okay, then we have also been on a bit of a corny movie kick. And like, I had never seen Naked Gun, so we watched that earlier this year. Obviously, I loved it. We watched recently Death Becomes Her, about these women who take a potion to stay looking young forever, basically. It's very kooky. I think it was done in 87. It was pretty good. Not great, I would say, but pretty good. And it has Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep, and Bruce Willis is the husband, which is just funny to see, because I think it was before he blew up, but I'm not sure. So it was good, but the one that was really good that I had never seen and I just loved, and it was so dumb in the best way, was So I Married an Axe Murderer. So I Married an Axe Murderer. It's about what it says on the tin. It's Mike Myers being a nut and a half. He meets this girl, they fall for each other, and then he starts to have doubts about whether she's a axe murderer or not, like a woman who's been on a killing spree across the states. And he's just being like so kooky throughout the whole thing. And his hobby in the movie, his character's hobby, is I guess like slam poetry, but it's not quite slam poetry, it's more like beatnik poetry. And yeah, we just quote it all the time now. He has this poem called Woman, I think that's the title, and he goes, woman, whoa, man, whoa, man, she broke my heart, and also it's like, I'm not good at quoting things. this a really dumb poem, and it's so good. And the movie just double and triples down on the fact that this guy likes to do that kind of poetry. And it's just so fun, so funny, so ridiculous. I really loved it. So if you haven't seen it yet, or if you've seen it but it's been a while, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And I think it's perfect for summer, like when you want to watch something fun and light, not too demanding, but that's quality, like well made, holds up, stands the test of time. And then the last recommendation for movies that I have for you is also an older one. I think it's from the early aughts. Yeah, I had seen it before, and so had my partner, but not for a while. So we decided to watch it. It's also funny, and it's another one where it's just perfect for summer because let me tell you the title. It's Sideways. You've probably heard of it. Sideways. So it's just this dude and his friend, Paul Giamatti, and some other actor I don't know the name of, going on a trip for like a bachelor trip, and they go to wine country in California, and Paul Giamatti's character is a writer, and his friend keeps telling him, his friend's the one getting married, that his friend keeps telling everyone that Paul's about to get published, but like he's not at all. He basically doesn't have a writing career, but his friend keeps telling everyone he's about to get published. And they just get into all kinds of messes, up to all kinds of no good shenanigans. It's broken into days, like each day of the trip is on the screen, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're there for the week, and things just devolve and devolve and devolve. And we had both forgotten, actually, there's a scene towards the end. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Where someone has to sneak into someone else's place to get something. If you know, you know. And we had both forgotten about that scene. And when it came up, we were both like, oh yeah. Because it's just ridiculous. I think it was interesting to watch for me too, because the last time I saw it was over 10 years ago. I was in my early 20s, and I liked it a lot then. No more, no less than I liked it this time. But this time, just being older, understanding something about wine, something about marriage, something about having careers that maybe take longer to work out in the way that you want than you thought they would. All of that, I just related to it differently this time, in a good way. I was like a little more forgiving of the characters and felt like they were, even when they're making really piss poor decisions, felt that they were like a little more relatable than my younger self felt. And yeah, it holds up. So it's just really, really good. And then to end, I'll just say quickly what we've been watching on TV. Well, I'm very excited for the Olympics. Gotta say that, but we haven't started watching that yet. So obviously, we've been watching The Bear, and really enjoying it. We're not finished yet because we really like the show. And it's a little angsty. We have no problem with the angst, but because it's so good and so angsty, when we heard that all 10 episodes came out at once, we were like, okay, there's a rule in our household, which is that we only watch one per night. So we've just been saving them to watch on nights where it's not rushed, it really feels like the right night, we're not tired. So I think we have 1, 2, 3 episodes to go. And I'm glad we're doing it this way, just because even thinking back on the episodes we've seen, all of which have been excellent, they kind of run together a little bit. I think they would run together a little bit more if we had watched them back to back. So we've been doing that. The music choices have been phenomenal this season too. I really have enjoyed it. Love what was playing in the beginning of that one episode. Didn't love the dialogue where it's about like she was laughing when she woke up. The girl in the ER, like I think it didn't hurt yet. That was a little too packed, but that's okay. Love the song in that moment, which was a Cocktail Twin song. Cocktail Twin. It's called like Pearly Dewy Drops. Pearly Dewy Dewdrops. I'm gonna look it up. That's gonna bother me. Pearly Dewdrops. Wait, is that right? I just looked it up. Yeah, Pearly Dewdrops by the Cocktail Twins. So, yeah, the bear. And, of course, we finished Couples Therapy Season 4. Love Orna. I want to be her. I want her to be my mother. I want her to be my girlfriend. She is so great. Really liked this season. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on couples therapy, I have some rambles on my Patreon. I think 2 rambles, and they're each like 30 or 40 minutes because I just really go off. And then the last thing I'll say that we're watching is Sex and the City. Somehow, my partner has never seen it, and I started watching it by myself a little bit ago, just as something light and easy, but again, like substantial, satisfying, well-made, something that holds up, stands the test of time. Probably like a month ago or something. So I got partway through the first season before he started to join me. But basically it's been how we've been ending our nights recently, like almost every night. Because our dog can only fall asleep or calm down if we watch TV with her. It's like the only sign she understands or cares to notice. I think she understands a lot, right? But it's the only sign she cares to heed about like winding down, time to rest, all of that. So we have to watch at least a little bit of TV each night, even when we come home from like being out on the weekends. We have to watch like 5 or 10 minutes just so she knows what's going on. So yeah, anyway, my partner kept walking by when I was watching it and had a lot to say about it and thought it was interesting. So I started saving them to watch with him as our last show of the night before we go to bed. And it's fun because it just like brings up lots of different conversation topics. You know, I just think it's a show that invites a lot of commentary. So we just have running commentary throughout each episode, basically, between the two of us. And it's really fun. And so my partner's never seen it before, right? So the other day he was like, basically, you know, which of the 4 main characters would you most want to date, and would you, like, which one most represents you, basically. And it was cute because those aren't really new questions. Like, anyone who's seen the show or grew up reading magazines or anything like that, like, knows that there's always, as long as the show has existed, there's always existed, like, those kinds of questions or those kinds of comments, like, oh, she's such a Samantha, or like, oh, like, she's such a Charlotte, or whatever. So it was just cute because it's like, here we are in 2024 and my partner's thinking up these questions as though they're novel for the first time, and it just made me happy because it, like, he was really excited to talk about which characters we were, because he's so interested in the show. It's a good show. It's really good. So I am, by the way, I mean, everyone says they're Carrie, right? But I'm Carrie. Yeah, I'm a Carrie. If Miranda could just relax a little bit, I would probably also be Miranda. Miranda's clothes are wild, y'all. Watching Miranda's clothes. In the episode we watched the other day, some episode in the second season, she's wearing a light blue, like, nylon type, athletic type fabric zip-up hoodie with the hood up, with a black brimmed hat on top of the blue hood. Like, she looks crazy. And we love it. So that's what we've been watching lately, what I've been watching lately. I hope to have more movie recommendations for you soon. Of course, at the end of the year I'll do my whole roundup, but hopefully before that too, I'll have seen things that I want to talk about, beyond just like the Oscar noms and all that. I hope you are doing super, super, super well, and if you're not, that's okay too. I will talk to you very soon, and until then,